Welcome to the latest midweek car competition judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name is Claire Wallace from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company, Assets. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer and I'm next playing tomorrow night.
I'm Nigel Hicks. I've been a Supply League match official for the best part of 30 years and I'm an experienced football administrator.
My name is Chloe Morgan and I'm goalkeeper for Crystal Palace Women.
Hi, my name is Ari Mendonca. I've been involved in football for over 30 years, firstly as a player and then as a referee.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector. I play football for Watford FC Women and I'm a coach for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Good morning, my name is Roger Wheeler. I'm a referee and I've been refereeing and lining for more than 30 years.
My name's Liam Walsh. I'm a retired referee, currently an FA observer and head coach for the Middlesex Referees Academy.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
Hi, my name's Matthew Ray. I've affiliated in multiple counties across England and have refereed from grassroots through to professional academies.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, retired professional footballer. I'm now a head coach in a Tottenham College programme.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thank you very much, Claire. Good morning, everybody. So we have 3 players in shot. The number 9 looks like he's in motion coming towards the player on the right-hand side as we're looking at the photograph. Player on the left, you can't see his face, he's just looking at the general play. And the player in blue facing us looks like he's sort of crouching down, he's looking up above his head, looking up towards the ball. So he may well have headed it or he may well be just popping up to head the ball, which was my personal view. I shall draw some lines. Got a Hughes low here, and then we've got both Roger and Chloe's above. Excuse me. And from this player in blue, we have Rogers that's over to the left and ever so slightly Aries to the right. And there we have the calculated average with everybody included. And as we see, Rogers just popping out the side. So I'll come to you first, Roger. You're the purple cross there, just to the left of the cluster. How did you see this photograph?
Thank you, Matt. Well, very much as you described. I thought the ball was sort of dropping down onto the player in blue's head and he was about to head it. The green player is sort of trying to make up the ground, but I don't think he's going to get there. I just felt I was trying to sort of look at the eyes of the blue player. Obviously, they're up, and I particularly his left eye. I thought he was sort of looking very slightly to his right. The green player, yeah, he's pretty much he's looking out. I thought from an angle, straight out from the angle that his head is. So that's how I've got to my cross. Just maybe a little higher than the pack and slightly to the right of the pack. Yeah, thank you. And Chloe, I'll come to you next. You're the yellow cross there that's been magnified. You're just to the right of Rogers. You're sort of on the same trajectory out from the player in green, but more centralised over the blue player. What was your view?
To me, it looked like the ball had bounced in front and that both players were sort of running on to try and affect the play. I took quite a lot from the green player's eye line. Obviously, his brow's quite furrowed and there was a little bit of white underneath the eye. So I kind of took it a little bit sort of further up than horizontal, just upwards. And I think obviously if you can just zoom in on the green player's eye, I took his pupil sort of towards the top end of his eyelid, and that gave me a bit of a higher trajectory for the ball. And then I just took a midpoint, I think, because the player in blue's eyes seemed to be sort of saying different things. One of them looks sort of directly up and the other one looks maybe slightly off to his right. And I just took a midpoint of the position of his forehead to get that middle point there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. And Rennie, you're just there. You're one of the three sort of above this calculated average at the moment, and your orange cross there magnified. How did you see it?
Yeah, very similar to Roger and Chloe, to be honest. I think because the ball's in the foreground, I think it looks a little bit more like a 50-50, and that the ball is potentially bouncing up. And both players are going to try and affect the ball, whether that be a header or whether they're going to just try and get their body in front and try and get the ball down. I've gone ever so slightly above horizontal. As Chloe said, the player in green, his brow's furrowed. So I went ever so slightly just above horizontal for my height. And then similarly for the player in blue, I think his head is tilted ever so slightly to the right. So that's why my cross is a little bit further to the right than everybody else's.
Yeah, thank you very much. And coming up from the player in blue, we've got two sort of in line with yours, Renee. Jenna, I'll come to you first. Yours, the pink cross there highlighted. What was your opinion on this?
I felt the ball was coming in and the player in blue was favourite to win it. He's stretching out to just get a touch on it, maybe a flick. I think the ball, as it's been mentioned before, is obviously in front of the player in blue. For me, the player in green, I don't think he's going to win the ball. He's just attempting to get there in time. I've used his eye line, but I noticed there was quite a bit of eyelids. So for me, I felt it was just below horizontal, that he was looking down slightly. And like what's been said before, the player in blue, I've used a midpoint of his forehead to get to my point there.
Yeah, great, thank you. And in that magnifier, you can see Nigel, your cross is just to the left of Jenna's. Did you see it the same way?
Yeah, very similar. I think, I feel as does Jenna, that the player in blue's favourite to win. He's about to head the ball. I did take something from his head angle. His head is slightly tilted, and the fact that his eye lines for me don't intersect. When I drew eye lines from his eyes, they were pretty much tram lines. So I think the ball's very close to him, and he's looking upwards and forwards towards us. Also, very much take a steer from, as Jenna says, the green player. We can see his eyelids, and I feel he's looking slightly down from horizontal.
Yep, great. Thank you very much. And in the same sort of trajectory over from the green player, but slightly to the right, is yours, Ari. You're the blue cross. What was your view?
Thanks, Matt. Well, I have exactly the same view as Jenna's on this one. I felt I would just add that the player in blue, his head slightly tilted to the right, and his eye line. That's why I came with my cross slightly more to the right on this one. I would that was my perception.
Okay, thank you. And we have Matthew. You're just to the right of my own cross. Yours the lime green cross. How did you see this picture and what was happening?
Yes, as Ari said, I think the blue player is just adjusting to try and win this ball. It's in the foreground, but I think he's a favourite. I think the blue player's right eye is looking ever so slightly to his left, but then as I think a few people have said, his left eye's looking straight up or a different direction. So I think his eyes are converging on the ball basically. I've took a midpoint between those two eye lines. And then I think Jenna said as well, we've got a green player where a lot of eyelids showing he's looking slightly downwards, but then his head's tilted slightly upwards. So I've again took a midpoint, come pretty much straight horizontal across from that, and got that spot.
Great, thank you very much. And up on the same trajectory as my own and yours, Matthew, is Hugh's, the pink cross. You're a little bit lower than the rest of us, Hugh. What was your opinion?
Thanks, Matt. I've got to say very, very similar to what Jenna said, but for me, with the eyelids of the green player, I just felt he was looking that bit lower. I think you can see quite a lot of them. And although he's not going to win the ball, I think he is close to the player in blue, given how it looks depth wise. So I think for me, he gave a bit of direction on it being lower. But for me, the player in blue, yeah, I think a few judges have said both eyes aren't really looking in the same direction from him. And I just felt, given he was stooping, I felt it would be that bit closer. But as I think has been said, his head's tilted very slightly to his right. So I just felt it was that touch over.
Yeah, thank you. And last but not least, I've left you to the last. Liam, you're right in the mix of everybody. You're in the centre of everybody's opinion at the moment. What was your view?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I took the opinion that the guy in green, that he was looking horizontal, quite simply. And once I decided that, I then looked at the evidence that the guy in blue was going to give me. I looked at his body shape. It's already been said by colleagues. He's leaning forward. His head's tilted up. His eyes are up. I took into consideration his brow and the fact his hair. Its movement. I felt that there was like a flick header and that the ball was imminent. And then I put my cross where it felt right. I come along. There's only a certain sort of corridor that you can see where the ball could possibly be from the blue player, and I went where I felt it felt comfortable, along that horizontal line from the guy in green. A little bit of a change, a different way of doing it for me this morning, but one that I was happier doing.
No, sure, okay, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to note. I mean, we've got this a player with the blue eyes, and as many people have said, they seem to be looking in slightly different direction. But I think that's partly to do with it's a 2D. I think with the ball's out in front of him, his eye line's moving out towards the ball, and it makes a little bit more sense, which is always a difficult one to draw with eye lines when they don't seem to be looking in the same direction. And yes, this player in green is looking across, and as a number of you said, you thought it might have been a bouncing ball, which gives him a sort of a sniff of a challenge. So he may be coming in there because if this player doesn't flick it on or head the ball, he's got half a chance of getting there, depending on how fast the ball is moving, how fast the bounce is, how high it is, etc., etc. So we've got a lot of things to add into there. Some from a footballing point of view, some from a refereeing point of view. Now, if I put the magnifier over the top of this particular calculated average, Rodgers is really completely outside. And if I remove Rodgers, it brings the calculated average down into a sort of more central position with, I think, a good split of judging above and below. We have Hughes at the bottom, we have Close at the top. And if I drop the magnifier over the top of the calculated average, if I can centralize it, we've got really the top prong of Chloe's, which is next to one of the prongs of the magnifier, sticking out the top, and we have Hughes sticking out to the bottom. So for my mind, they would balance each other out, and it gives us this quite tight cluster. As I said, we can still see Liam's there in the middle of it. So I, as lead judge, will remove Rodgers. And then I'd like you all to just run through and just check that you're happy. And if you want to see anyone else is removed and see how it alters the average, that's fine. So I'll come to you first, Nigel.
Yeah, I wouldn't remove anyone else. I wouldn't want to see anyone else removed. So happy as is.
Yeah, thank you. Chloe?
I'd be happy for Rodgers to be removed. I appreciate that takes it the average slightly down, further away from my cross. But I think, given the general consensus of the judges and where the eye line is either directly horizontal or further below, I think I'll have to concede that that's a sort of general view. So I'd be happy with Rodgers removed.
Yeah, and I should have really said it. And one of the other reasons is we've now got a very tight line, and I will actually redraw these up from the player in blue. And as I said, I think I said earlier that yours is in line with everyone else's, is the opinions that are left in quite a tight run up from the player in blue, which I think is important. So we've got a very tight line from the player in blue. Thank you. Ari.
Well, it looks quite credible for me, so I like it like that.
And I will come to you, Roger, because I have removed you, so we're not voting on yours, but I'd like your opinion on how it looks now.
Sorry, Matt, I was muted. There's obviously going to be a lot of players who have moved into a very tight space. So I think it does need to be quite tight. So I'm totally supportive. I think to remove mine and then with the remaining 9 looks good.
Great, thank you very much, Liam.
Yes, I agree, Matt.
Great. Hugh.
Yeah, I think it's good. We're all in. I think Liam said a corridor. We're all in a corridor of certainty. That line up from the player in blue. So to have 9 of us all encapsulated by that, I think is a really good average and feasible.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, happy with that. I think it looks good to me.
Yeah, and lastly, Jenna.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Great, thank you. So Claire, after myself as lead judge removing Rogers and another brief discussion of how we've come to this calculated average, we've decided to judge at this average with the 9 remaining judges. So we got a good corridor up from the player in blue, and as we've said, the ball is in the foreground. So we think we're happy with this.
Great, yeah, well, if you're all happy, then please submit. Okay, thank you, judges. The coordinates selected are X 3369, Y 1720. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company assets to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.